go. I think okay. And you should be unmuted right now.
Very good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is share a slide deck, everyone. Hope everyone is having an amazing day today. Okay, can everyone see the slide deck? Yes? Okay, very good. So as Anne has mentioned, my name is Ucheonye Maple, and I am a career specialist here at Howard Community College. And what we're going to focus on today within the time allocated is strictly about resume writing. There has been a lot of different changes that has happened in terms of resume writing, and we just want to make sure that we're giving you everything and all the tools you need so that when recruiters see it, we know that they look at it anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds. So we want to optimize that immediate time that you have with them to the best of everyone's availability. Okay, so who are we here at Howard County Community College? Again, my name is Ucheonye Maple, and everyone that we have listed here, Amy, Paul, Kiera, and Dr. Debbie, we all are in the Career Services Department. And our responsibility is to ensure that we're providing not just the students here, but also our community members. So if you are within Howard County, we help with resume writing, mock interviews. We can give you a plethora of resources and information to help you to get the employment for what you're looking for. Okay, so what is a resume? You know, one of the things that have changed over time is that a resume in itself is an advertisement of you. This is what recruiters see immediately when they're looking at you. And we want it to be where it is a snapshot of your educational professional qualifications and that it is specifically targeted towards jobs you are seeking. And it's also going to put inside of chat this PDF for you so that you can get a template that provides not just a resume, but cover letter and some guidelines for LinkedIn so that you have a template to use for your resume. But we want to make sure that it is targeting towards opportunities and jobs that you are looking for. The second thing is what we don't want to include. Before in the past, we usually have an objective statement, but that has changed over time. So things have changed, and I'm going to go over that in terms of what are the different sections that we want to include in a resume. We want to make sure that your resume does not have an unprofessional email. One thing to think about too is that as you are getting a new email, if you have your existing email, which may be Hotmail or AOL, those are strong indicators of pretty much range of demographics of when we got it. So you want to make sure that your email is not only professional, but it's current. We have Gmail, we have Outlook. So those are some of the things that you want to make sure you look at. You don't need to include your mailing address. That has also changed as well. Multiple phone numbers. You really want to make sure you have one number. So not a landline, not a mobile number, but a number where they can get easy access to you immediately, especially if they're calling you for an interview. No personal details, anything like that. We don't want them to form any type of biases in terms of who you are, because again, they're going to see yourself for 3 to 6 seconds. No headshots, no pronouns, no pronouns. Okay, I think that's okay, but just be careful that you don't want anything to be biased. No elaborate formats or designs. Recruiters are not looking for that immediately, right? So we want to make sure that it is clean, concise, and very simple so that when they look at it, they can immediately see who you are, what you do, so that they can schedule that interview immediately. And also, too, is that when you are uploading your resume into these HRI, Human Resource Information Systems, there is something called an applicant tracking system. And if your resume has a lot of designs or things that it is not familiar with, when recruiters bring it up or hiring managers, they won't be able to see or even print out your resume. So you just want to make sure that, again, it is clean and concise. And then also, of course, check for spelling and grammar errors. As simple as that seems, be surprised. So you just want to make sure that when recruiters and hiring managers see your resume, it is an advertisement, a great representation of who you are, so that when they need to connect those dots, it is an immediate yes that we want to bring this person in for a follow-up call and or an interview. So I talked about the applicant tracking system. your resume will be downloaded and scanned for keywords, especially with a lot of artificial intelligence that's happening now. You want to make sure when you are looking at that job requisition that you're applying for, whatever keywords that they have in that requisition, you want to make sure that's in your resume, because when those tools, algorithms are scanning for it, it's going to bring you up immediately. This system, which companies use, help them for hiring purpose, recruitment purposes. It collects data. I mean, they're able to organize the who's applying for it. So you just want to make sure, again, your resume is a great representation of not only just you, but the job that you are applying for, because it is scanning for keywords. So now we're going to talk about the different sections of a resume. Your resume should contain your contact information, a summary, your skills, the experience, your education, and any type of professional memberships that you have. So at the beginning of the resume, so let me say this. So you see up here, this is an example where we have Charles. This is an example of the contact information. Then we have the summary. They put the skills here, but you want to have the skills up top under the summary, and then your experience, and then your education. There are different ways, but the reason why the skills are important is from a technology standpoint, if you have different skills that, depending on the industry you're in, that it is required and needed, you want to make sure those skills stand up front. That's why we have it at the beginning and the top of the resume. Now, your contact information, I mentioned this before. You do not want to include an unprofessional email. It needs to be professional and have a phone number in there. One thing you can do, because oftentimes this can be confusing because you get so many emails, right? You can just create a new email account where it's specifically just for job hunting. So that way, you know exactly what's going to be coming in. You're not going to get a lot of spam mail. It won't be confusing. It's just strictly just for job hunting. And that way, it makes it cleaner and easier, and you don't have to keep going through emails to see what's in spam, what's in junk, what may be in your promotion. You have one email that's just for job hunting, and that way you can give it over and over again, and you won't have to worry about all the different other things that's coming into it. You may want to include your LinkedIn profile, and we'll have someone talking about that coming up. So you want to definitely include that in there. And then also too, when they are opening up your resume, you want to make sure that those hyperlinks work. If you're putting hyperlinks into your resume, you want to make sure they work and that they're going to the right place. The last thing you want is that when they click on it and it doesn't work. Again, this is an advertisement and a representation of you. So you want to make sure that everything you put in there works all the time. Now, I mentioned that when hiring managers and recruiters are looking at your resume, they spend 3 to 6 seconds. So again, this is why we want to make sure we put the most important information in there, which is your summary and/or profile section. And then we want to highlight those skills that are relevant and the education and then that experience for you. So here's some of the skills that you can add depending on what jobs you're looking for and what industry you're in. Technical skills. If you're looking for anything technical in terms of programming languages, if you're looking at cloud computing, even healthcare, even in the education field, what are the technical skills that you are proficient with? So you want to make sure you have that in there. Communication skills. We need that more now than ever, especially with a lot of different generations in the workplace. How are you able to communicate? Are you an effective communicator? If you're in an area where you need to learn how to negotiate, do you have those skills? What are some of your interpersonal skills that's going to make you the candidate of choice? So you want to make sure that you have your skills in there that's going to make you and allow you to stand out from the rest of people that are applying. And then also soft skills. Soft skills are required. How quickly are you a problem solver? Are you able to work in a fast-paced environment? Are you a person that's organized? Do you know how to manage projects? How are you with customer service? So you want to make sure, again, that your skills are very obvious and relevant in today's marketplace based on your industry and a job you're applying for. I'm going to keep repeating industry and job you're applying for, because you want to make sure that even though, especially if you're transitioning careers, you want to make sure that the skills that you have on your resume is applicable to the industry you're into today and the job that you're applying for. Oftentimes, you'll be surprised that people are sending resumes and it's just not relevant to the job they're applying for. So again, 3 to 6 seconds, they're looking at it, and then you'll get a deny. So you don't want that. You want to make sure that you are in the race and that you have a competitive resume so that they can call you back in for a second interview. Now, when we're looking at the experience part, what we tell people is all we are looking for is the last 10 years to put on the resume. Now, you want to have it in reverse chronological order, meaning what is relevant today. And also, too, if you do have a gap in there, make sure you state what that gap is. It could just be a leave of absence. It could be sabbatical, whatever it is, because employers are looking for someone who is consistent. And when there is a gap, that could to them mean something else. So you just want to make sure that you put that in your resume. Now, things have changed, because now when we're talking about the resume, it's not just, you want to put in there action verbs. People want to know, what did you do? Not what you are responsible for, but what did you actually perform? What were those results? How did it help improve the company? You want to use words and language that describes the impact that you had to the company, not just what you are responsible for. And if you can, try to qualify and quantify it. What that means is that if you were able to improve customer service questions by 10%, you want to put stuff in there so that it can show that you are a person who is result-oriented and that you know how to solve problems. So you want to make sure you have that. And in addition to that, if you have relevant experience, meaning experience that's relevant to the job and industry you're applying for, you can split that into two, where instead of just having experience, you can have relevant experience and then other experience. And that's okay, because again, you want to make sure that you're putting the best information forward for the job you want so that you can be competitive to the employers who are looking to hire and retain top talent, which is everyone on here. Now, do not, in terms of education, do not put dates on there. That's one thing, people who are graduating now, that's okay for them. But when you have experience, especially more than 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you don't have to include your graduation dates. And also spell out what your degrees are, because each college and university have different nomenclatures. Some may have BS, some may have different things. So you want to make sure that you are spelling that out so that they don't have to guess. Remove anything that's going to make it difficult for them to try to think about it. Make it very simple for them and write everything out. Now, here's the beautiful part about it is that you can bold your degrees for emphasis. And the reason why that's important is that's going to make you stand out in the workforce today. You want to make sure that you can bold those, if you're getting something, let's say, because everyone's talking about AI, if you have a degree or a certificate in artificial intelligence, you want to highlight that. If you have a certificate in cloud computing or data analytics, you want to highlight those type of things, or anything dealing with healthcare that's going to make you stand out. You want to highlight what that is in your degree in education. And also include honors. If you are part of any organization or if you graduated from any type of leadership training, you want to highlight that in there. These are all things that's going to make you stand out from someone else. Because if you think about it, if they have two resumes that look the same in terms of experience and skill set, how is the education part going to be a differentiator for you? So for each section in your resume, you're always thinking about what is going to make me different to stand out in case someone else is a close second to me. So you want to make sure that that's how your resume is being written from that standpoint. And above all, formatting. So we want to make sure the formatting is sufficient. White space, do not have a resume that's on any other type of colored paper or anything background, make sure it's white space. You want to use your space wisely. We talked about the top of the fold when someone is seeing this, and choose a modern fonts. You know, we have Calibri, Arial, Cambria. Use something that's more modernized in today's marketplace. Now, I know that, you know, they have a lot of these apps that has templates for you to use. The thing about templates is that they may be easy to use, harder and more difficult to edit. And as a result of that, when you put it up into the ATS system, it may not be able to read it. So just start from a blank sheet of, I can't say paper, but like Word or any of those, that's a blank page, and just start building your resume from there. Again, easy to use, but templates are easy to use, as I've said, but difficult to edit. And if you have to make any changes, you just don't want to have to wrestle with any of that information. Now, we want to make sure that you target your resume. I talked about that briefly, depending on the industry and job. Be very, very diligent and consistent in the industry that you are targeting, because after you keep applying, what you're going to notice is that a lot of those jobs use the same language and keywords. You can refer to those keywords, and I'll put this in chat, where it tells you, you know, how to do the keyword search, tips for using them. And also too, another site you can go to is ONET. ONET is a phenomenal organization, that website, where they give you the trend on the industry, the job you're looking for, what's the trend in that industry, what's the pay, what type of jobs are being offered in the area, and a lot more information, including what are different titles are used for the job that you're targeting. Because that's something else too you want to think about is, this title that I'm using, is this the only thing that they have? And it just gives you more of a plethora, more of resources. And also too, you can use JobScan for matches as well. So these are some of the ways that you can make sure that your resume is being targeted and out there, so that you have different ways so that other people can see it. Best practices: remove anything like references upon request, because what's going to happen is that once they interview you that first time and they're going to hire you, they're going to ask you for the references, and you need to make sure you have the person's name, email address, and phone number available. Follow all directions from them. And if they're giving you something that you're like, I really don't know, I need more answers, don't be afraid to ask. Please don't be afraid to ask. It's okay to ask questions to them so that you can make sure that you're getting the information. Use a consistent format, meaning font size and the type of font. You want to make sure you edit and proofread it. And also too, submit the resume in doc or PDF. So you want to be careful, because most of the time with the ATS system, they're actually needing it in Word doc and not PDF, but just be consistent with how you're doing it and just be aware. So if you're looking for jobs with the federal government, this is the website. Their process is different. However, it's in terms of the resume building part, that's still pretty much the same in terms of being consistent, but they also have writing guide to help you and to give you step-by-step process on that standpoint. Now, if you have any additional questions for us here at Howard County Community College, this is our number where you can call. You can definitely scan. That will take you straight to our website with all of our information on there, and to ask any more additional questions. So thank you so much, and good luck on your job search.
Thank you, Jay. We're now going to go to the second part of workshop number 1, which is going to be done by Ms. Joanie Greene-Washington. Joanie, thank you for being here today. Joanie is with a workforce development, and she's a workforce development consultant, facilitator, and trainer. And I will be putting her information in chat as well. Thank you, Joanie. Your time starts now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm hoping, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Great, great. Good morning, everybody. My name is Joanie Greene-Washington. As Ann mentioned, I work for Howard County Office of Workforce Development. We are a Howard County government entity. We are tasked with helping job seekers and also businesses find good matches, almost sort of like a happy marriage, right? Making sure everyone has the tools that they need to be able to find what is necessary for them to do. We have been working with, I'm super happy about this 50 Plus Expo. We have participated in the 50 Plus Expo since it existed. Prior to COVID, it was one of the largest activities that we have in Howard County. And so it's so wonderful to see it being relaunched. And thank you, Ophelia, for making sure that our community is connected in this way. Because prior to COVID, we always had this activity, and it was like a hub. It was like a social event. And beginning to launch it in this way is just a wonderful opportunity. Here at the Office of Workforce Development, we've always participated in it with workshops. We offered our services available to our community. I am a senior citizen myself. I particularly started this position when I was a senior citizen. I'm 7 decades plus, and I say it proudly because I am relevant and I am a depiction of the people that I'm seeing on the screen. It's really good to be able to associate myself with my peers, but it's even better to be able to associate myself with our community. So welcome all my fellow senior citizens from Howard County. I'm so glad to see your happy faces and to be able to share some of these tips of workforce development that we have, some of our best practices. So we're going to be talking today about the pitch. I don't know if you heard about the pitch. The pitch is something that is a hot trend, and workforce, that is one of the things that I think when you are not a workforce professional, you are not aware of, and things go in trend, right? So the pitch is something I'm going to talk to you about, as well as preparation for the interview process. We're going to talk about those questions, right? The crazy questions, those questions that kind of take you aback. I have about 50 people in my caseload, and more times than not, they'll call me up and say, "Hey, Ms. Washington, I have an interview tomorrow. I'll let you know how it goes." And then they'll call me back afterwards and they will say, "I went really well. I think I'm going to get a job offer." And then I'll wait a week, I'll wait 2 weeks, and then I'll reach out to them. And I'm like, "What happened? Did you get the job offer?" And they'll go, "I don't know what happened. I really thought I did well, but I didn't get the job offer." And then when that happens like 3, 4, 5 times, that means something going on in the interview process. And more times than not, it is those situationally and behavioral based questions. And I'm going to discuss those as well. And then I would be remiss if I did not mention just a teeny tiny bit about ageism. And we know that it exists, but there are laws to protect us from that. Then I'm going to talk on the tail end about the services that we provide at Howard County Office of Workforce Development, because we provide training dollars and other supports that you guys may need as well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right on in there because I have 7.5 minutes. I'm originally from New York, and I grew up knowing about a New York minute. So let's see if I can make that happen today. So I'm going to talk about the 30-second elevator pitch. The 30-second elevator pitch is something that is very much needed today. You have to be able to make sure that you're able to talk about what you do, how you do it, and how you can do it for that prospective employer, right? I mean, these are things that are conversational. I usually use a good friend of mine who always wanted to work for the NSA. I never could understand that, but she always wanted to work for the NSA. And she was at a Giant checking her food out and saw a gentleman standing in front of her with a golf shirt, pretty much similar to what I have on, and had NSA on it and his badge. And right away, she went into her pitch, right? She did her pitch, and she must have done such a great job with that pitch that a week later, she was invited to an interview. She's been working there now. I think it took her longer to get cleared than it did for her to get that job offer. So that shows you how powerful the pitch is. I mean, some people call it a 30-second elevator pitch. Some people call it a 60-second commercial. It helps to answer the question, right? It helps you to talk about, tell me about yourself, because those are usually the initial, very first question that you're going to hear in an interview. And they don't want to know if you're a cat person or a dog person. They want to know about your professional self. So you want to make sure that you have all of your marketing tools prepared in your toolkit when you're looking for work. That job readiness toolkit, you want to make sure you have included in that your 60-second commercial, your 30-second elevator pitch. You want to have that, as Uche just got finished talking about, that accomplishment-based resume, cover letters, thank you letters. All of these things have that opportunity to open doors for you. The resume, when we're doing the resume, because it's so focused and targeted towards the job description, sometimes we don't have the opportunity to talk about ourselves a lot. And so to give them an opportunity to see who you are at every corner, you want to make sure that you do those kind of things. So that elevator pitch it's like a commercial, right? And what is a commercial about? The commercial is about you, and it's done in like 60 seconds, right? Really, really, really quickly. Sort of like when hiring managers and recruiters look at resumes. Or team. In my department, I'm one of the people that have the opportunity to be on the panel and look at resumes and do interviews and things like that. And there is that section in the fold, as Uche mentioned. So usually 60 seconds, 70 seconds, maybe you take to look at a resume. So you want to make sure that you are being constantly prepared and that you're doing everything necessary to present those attributes that they are looking for. So developing that 30-second pitch, 60-second commercial in your handouts. I will be sending you templates for that. I will be sending you verbiage for it so that you can begin to create that 30-second elevator pitch to 60-second commercial. You want to come across poised and confident, and simply by opening with that commercial, you will be able to do that. I mean, your commercial makes the listener aware in a really brief amount of time of the specific, unique, and impressive attributes that you bring to the possession. And you can do this anywhere. If you're at the library, if you're in a faith-based community in the lobby, this is an opportunity to sell yourself, right? I mean, the thing about the resume is your calling card. It opens the door for you. But the pitch in a networking event and a job fair, it allows you to create a dialogue to let people know what your needs are. You know, you want to go, yet like one of the things I tell my customers all the time, you don't want to say that you're hunting for a job, because hunting, it kind of refers to maybe deers or rabbits. Nope, we're transitioning in our careers, and you want to make sure that you're careful about your dialogue. And that pitch is a really great way to open the door. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the great thing about the pitch is that it is actually scripted. You're going to write it, and
Excuse
you
me a
are,
second, Joni.
uh-huh,
Could I ask you just to expand your screen a little bit
okay,
to make it bigger? We can see it, but the text is a little bit small. So if you
okay.
could expand it, that would be great to get it
That
into the put it into speaker view, I think maybe.
That's what it's in now.
Okay, so
Um, Maybe I
your
will,
slideshow.
me and Zoom, we don't get along well. We just do not get along well. But you're messing with my time now.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
Am I okay? Okay.
You're okay.
All right. So let me stop sharing and go to a different view. I'm sorry, you guys. I am not great when it comes to
No, and if you can't, then don't worry, because just continue on, and we'll make
let's see
sure
if this
everybody has the
did
information.
this make it any better?
Um, no, it looks like you're still in the thing, but that could be on perhaps my computer. So I would say go ahead and continue on.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. But I'm going to make sure you guys all have handouts of everything that I'm talking about and the slides. And I have a whole oodle of other things that I'll be sharing with you guys as well. But yeah, that pitch is super important. And you want to make sure that you are using it at every given moment because you could be in a place where there's a hiring manager standing right next to you. But if you are not able to make them aware of your needs, how will they be able to help you? I mentioned this to someone. I have a whole bunch of grandchildren, and I fill in a lot for my daughter who's super busy. And I was at a parent teachers conference, and there was a parent there that I've seen a lot. And I heard her talking in the hall about looking for work. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why do you say something to me? I'm with the Office of Workforce Development. We do job fairs, we have business partners here in Harris County. I wish you would have said something to me. And if she would have had a pitch, I would have known about it because she would have known to articulate and create that dialogue. And once again, it is a dialogue that is scripted for sure. But when you deliver it, no one's going to know that because it's going to come out very conversational and it gives you that opportunity to kind of get rid of the nerves that we get when we go into interviews. You know, a lot of times when you get into an interview, everything you know leaves, right? So the more you practice, the better you get at it. So you can start out doing that with the pitch. And then next is the interview. And the interview is something that is gives you the ability to actually get that job, right? I mean, the resume does what? Not get a job. It doesn't help you get a job, it helps you get the interview. The interview is what helps you get the job. So that's something that you really need to work on. And this is post COVID, new normal. Things are very different. 9 times out of 10, that interview may be in this kind of format, right? In a virtual format. I mean, that is something that employers have definitely embraced vigorously. So being prepared to do one in person, being prepared to do one virtually, you just need to make sure you're prepared to do it no matter what platform that they're using. But you want to make sure that when you're talking about yourself, accentuate your maturity, highlight your strong work ethic, right? So we boomers or Gen Xers, we have work ethics. We partner with Howard County businesses and partnerships. One of the things they come to us, our business advisor, services representative is Alexis Lawson, and thank you, Alexis, for helping to recruit quite a few of the employers that are going to be on the call today, including Howard County government. They come to us and they ask us for assistance all the time. They ask us for workshops. They ask us for screening processes. They ask us to do recruitments. They even ask us, is there an ability that you guys might have to help with work ethic? And that I think sometimes is something that is innate, right? Something that we are kind of born with. So making sure that you emphasize that because come on, most of us, you can't even help that work ethic, that strong work ethic that we all have, right? Because we were born in the 50s, in the 60s, right? So you want to make sure that you utilize that to your advantage. Emphasize your flexibility. Important to demonstrate your flexibility and your willingness to learn new skills and methods of problems because you know older workers, they say, well, they're stuck in their old ways. Their technology is not up to date. No, you want to let them know that you have adapted to the new normal and that you have the ability to be flexible, that you have a willingness to learn new skills, right? You want to make sure that you are showing that you have recent and relevant skills. And then, yes, be prepared for those age related kinds of questions, right? It's important to stress that you don't consider your age as a barrier or being anything but an effective worker. And that is something that you have to feel in order for it to be able to be relayed to that employer, right? I mean, you have to be in that space where you're ready to talk about, okay, that's the elephant in the room. I know I'm older, but I am more mature. I'm a professional. I have more years of experience, so the ROI, the rate on investment, is going to be worth it. So an example of an age-related kind of question might be, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do not say retired and sitting on the beach. That is the wrong answer, right? That is the wrong answer. Anything but that, right? Don't talk about that. Make sure that you show confidence and enthusiasm. Be excited about it, right? Do your homework. Make sure that you've checked out the place that you are getting ready to be hired in, right? Make sure, number one, that this is a place that's going to be there next year, right? So do your homework just like they're checking you out. You want to check them out as well. But when you are presenting yourself, make sure that you're showing confidence, you're showing enthusiasm, and then be prepared. Do those questions. One of the things I say to my customers all the time, practice, practice, and then practice some more when it comes to interviewing questions. Answer the questions and make sure that you are clear. And as my good friend, which I just said, concise. That is so important to make sure that you have that ability to be concise about the way that you communicate. Because remember, you're an older worker, so you want to make sure that there's no question about any of your abilities, right? That they're all on top, recent, relevant, and in demand. Highlight the skills that fit the job. So don't talk about that job that you had when you were in summer camp where you were teaching swimming, right? That is not relevant. You don't want to talk about that. Avoid sounding dated, right? Never go, well, I'm old school or back in the day. All those conversations are just not appropriate in the interviewing process. Use current industry jargon, whatever that terminology is for your industry or your occupation. Make sure that you're up to date with what those things are. And once again, make sure you double check that company's website. Take a look at who they are. One of the things I tell my customers all the time is if they're publicly traded, take a look at that annual report. It will show you everything. It'll show you about the CEO, the CFO, and the CFO is usually going to have things like the profit and loss statement in there. That way you can see that they are in a place of growth and not where they are not in growth. You don't want to be where they are struggling and getting ready to close. So do your homework when it comes to that. So interviews, yep, they're unnerving. They are super nervous. And I have to admit, before I started doing this, prior to being a workforce consultant, I was a meeting planner for pharmaceutical industry. And interviewing wasn't my thing. So when I used to do interviews, the moment I walked in, everything I knew would leave. I wouldn't remember anything because they are nerve-wracking. I mean, but you have to be prepared. The more prepared you are, the less nervous you will be. Make sure you schedule your interview during the time of day when you are most energetic. If you're a morning person, try your best to do it then. If you're like me and you're an afternoon person, try to schedule it then. Then once again, make sure you research that company and make sure that they are looking for someone who has your potential availability to provide the services that they're looking for. Look at whatever those job postings are, and then be prepared to answer questions with expertise. Ask questions related to the position. I'm even going to give you some samples of questions that you should ask. And I'm going to give you some examples of questions that they cannot and should not ask. They're legal to do. And be prepared to show, once again, that high level of energy that they don't expect us to have when we walk into the room. Surprise them with that energy. Surprise them with that enthusiasm. Surprise them with that knowledge about the organization and what they're looking for. Because once you go to that website and you look at that organization, you're going to be able to see their mission statement. You can even begin to explain that that's what you did and that it aligns very much with your own values and how that will impact your ability to be a great asset to that company. I mean, we already discussed the different kinds of things that you need to do. So let's talk about the content. Make sure you listen carefully to the questions so that you can give the appropriate kinds of answers. Understand, once again, those behavioral based questions, those situationally based questions, you have to make sure that you are prepared for them. So practice them. I'm going to give you samples of those too. So you'll have a plethora of those and you'll be able to keep them in your back pocket and pull them out at will. Sell yourself. This is your
Joanie,
time. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. We're
Mhm.
right now at 10:54,
Okay.
and you've covered a whole lot in your presentation. Um, and I think you probably still have several more slides. And unfortunately, due to time constraints, we're not going to be able to finish those slides. I would like people to be able to ask you questions. Uche's
Sure.
been in chat right now responding to people who were asking her about her presentation earlier. But I just want to make sure, and Uche, if you could unmute, join the conversation here as well, that would be great. But this is also very helpful, and I believe, Joanie, workforce development, Howard County Workforce Development offers assistance, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's this is what that slide talks about. It is information pertaining to looking up for our services. So if you're looking for any kind of training, mock interviews, resume reviews, we provide all of that for you. If you are looking to have your skills assessed, we are able to provide that for you as well. And the training, we have government funding that is available to assist with things like training. This slide that I'm going to send right here, all you have to do is click on that link, reach out and say what it is that you're looking for from the Office of Workforce Development. And our intake person will get back to you and let you know what that process looks like. And here's my information as well.
Great. And that's great because everybody does have your information, and it's also up on the website right now. The Uche, I saw that you were answering questions, so thank you for keeping that going. The questions that a lot of people had were about the length of their interviews or the length of their resumes. Could you just briefly talk to that? Because there were a couple that were earlier on in the Uche, right when you were starting talking.
Yeah, so recommendation is 2 pages for resume. And I know that that's going to be difficult because you have so much great experience. That's why that's one thing we mentioned is that you should have, no more than 10 years on there. Now, if you still want to have, like what Uche, I still want to put, so that they can know. The thing is that your goal is to get the interview. Because once you get that interview, you're then, as Joanie has mentioned, going to be able to communicate your experience and how vast it is and the information. 3 pages is just too long. No one is going to take time to look at that. So 2 pages is the recommended length for that, Anne.
Okay, that's good to know. And if somebody has experience from their past that they're going into a new career, is that okay to bring into their resume?
Yes, so that part can be under relevant experience. Just because you're transitioning careers doesn't mean that your skills don't transfer, right? Those are called transferable skills. So in terms of when you're transitioning to a different industry and it may be a different job, you want to put in there under skills where it's relevant experience and bulletize how your past experience is relevant to the job that you are applying for today. So that's how you want to make sure that part is being written. And then under that, you can have other experience where from there you could just write, the job, the title, and then the dates. You don't have to, when you are trying to condense your resume into 2 pages, you can, if you want to, you can just put, like the job, the title, where you worked, and then the date. And that's it. You don't have to put like what you did underneath that. But the relevant part is what is critical because that's what's applicable to the job you're applying for today to help you get that interview tomorrow.
That sounds great. And both of you, your presentations were amazing. And this is a great little tease of each of the services that Workforce Development provides and Howard County Career Services provides as well. The one of the things I wanted to ask is about a gap. What do Joanie, how would you talk to that if someone says to them in their interview, I see there's a gap? What would you say to that person?
I would tell them to tell the truth. I would say explain what that gap is. Sometimes it could be maybe you were a caregiver, or maybe you had to do something with a family. one of the things that we talk about a lot when folks are in an unemployment phase, until you find a job, doing things like volunteer, that literally is a great thing to be able to put in that gap. So I would suggest, number one, telling the truth. Because when they do the vetting process, they'll probably find out anyway. Um, and then just be kind of forward thinking in your time that you are spending. Do something that's going to make you stay in a place where you're going to keep that professional level moving. So things like volunteering is huge.
Okay. And just in 20 seconds each, I want to just restate, and if you please confirm, each of you, your locations offer services for people to help with resumes, interviews. And Joanie, do you have a schedule of when you next are going to do a presentation? And Uche, I don't know if you have the same or not.
Yeah, I do wired to work 50s and beyond. I do them once a month, and it's usually near the end of the month. So the dates vary, but I have a calendar that I can send out because I do job readiness workshops for the county and for the state of Maryland. But I do a 2.5 hour workshop on
Yes.
wired to work. I used to do them in the centers, and they were like a half of a day. But yes, we
Okay.
have those available.
Thank you.
Yes,
Uche?
so for us here at HCC, again, if you're in the county, we provide those resources, which is resume writing, mock interviewing, all of that. And the best way to get in touch with us in terms of when we're going to be offering this type of programming is to just email me directly, and that way we can reach out to you. So I did put my email in chat, and that way we can give you information and have more one-on-one direct contact here.
That's great. And everyone, the Uche's information and Joni's information is in chat. You're going to see it again. You're going to receive it again tomorrow night with their flyers and handouts. This morning, I sent out the Wire to Work flyer that Joanie is talking about to everybody, but you'll receive it again tomorrow night. So we're going to give you a whole lot of information so that you will have everything. And thank you again, both of you, for your time today. This has been so fun and so informative. And everybody who's been asking questions, I'm going to ask Joanie and Uche, if you could please jump into chat. And just, I believe the last question where we left off was, okay, the save chat. I'm going to talk to that in a second. At 10:58, if you guys could just respond based on your presentation, that would be wonderful. And to save chat, everybody, open up chat, go into those chat on the top. You see those three little dots? Click on those three little dots and then hit save chat. You can do that throughout the day. We encourage you to do that, and it will be saved to your hard drive. Then your hard drive, you're going to have, you save it multiple times, you're going to have different files, multiple files on your hard drive, but you do have it. Again, you're going to receive everything, and you did receive some of it earlier this morning, but again, you'll get it all tomorrow night. Joanie Greene-Washington, thank you so much. Uche Maple, thank you so very much for being here today. Greatly appreciate it. What a great way to start out. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We appreciate it.